Hello everybody and welcome to another Transformers third-party review. This is the Wei Jiang Ultima Guard. It's their interpretation of Omega Supreme. I'm stood quite a distance back and it is, well, the box isn't small, that's for certain. Let's just give it a little swizzle. We have a schematic on the side. We've got shape-shifting toy with electronic light sounds. The batteries are not included. It says here, the Supreme Defender awakens. Product of an experimental program to develop a sentient city guardian. Ultima Guard is the last line of defense. Once serving Christopolis, he now stands watch for the heroic headquarters on Earth. Serious and logic-driven, Ultima Guard can transform from a titanic robot into 3 separate modules to better protect those under his watch. His plasma cannon and clawed arm combine into an interplanetary rocket ship, able to transport a full squad of his comrades, while his torso and head transform into a laser tank that patrols the base perimeter on self-deployed tracks. The rest of his body becomes a command center launching pad operated by Bones, his small partner who is in charge of the Giant's maintenance. AKA, that's the Autobot medic. I'm assuming he's named Bones after Star Trek, their medic. Ultima Guard lights up and speaks multiple classic phrases. And it says here, the electric lights and sounds require batteries 3 times AA and 4 times LR41. Out of that large box, we have 2 separate pieces of styrofoam. This bottom piece is the torso section with the segments of track. And this upper piece here is Bones the medic, the fire and thrusters. We have the tank section, we have the 2 parts that form the rocket, and we have those leg guards. We get display stands, and we get a section which can hold the rocket in place as well. Here we have everything out of the package, and as you can see, there is quite a bit. We actually get a rather nice collector's card as well. This is the Ultima Guard, and there we have his stats: strength, intelligence, speed, endurance, rank, courage, fire blast, and skill. Nice solid card, and this is probably my favourite accessory of all time. This is Bones, the Autobot medic. Fantastic figure. Got rotation on the arms, we've got a bend out, we've got a bend on the elbow, we've got articulated hands with open and close fingers. The head is ball mounted, so you can look up and down, we can go left and right. What a crazy little dude there. We've got waist rotation, we've got abdominal crunch, we've got legs forwards, legs backwards, legs out to the side, bend at that knee, and we've got ankle rocker as well. We've got a ball joint in there, so we've got lots and lots of crazy super range, which is good because he needs to get into all sorts of different positions to maintain Omega Supreme. Next up, we have the segments to the flight stand for the rocket. Just a quick heads up to you all if you're purchasing this. When I opened the initial shipper that it came in, it smelt a little bit. It was a bit of a pongy smell. If any of you got the original Arch Enemy, the first run from Fans Hobby, it's that sort of a smell. It's quite potent. I haven't actually noticed it much since I've got everything out of the package. It may have just been kind of a remaining smell in the outer box, but it's definitely a smell nonetheless, and it wasn't pleasant as well. At that stand, we get this rocket fire section here. Comes in 2 pieces. I believe there's some grooves there that should allow this to slot down. There we go. That's one nice big rocket blast there. Now, of course, we can mount that as a flame coming out the bottom of the rocket, or of course it can be kind of like a big energy blast from Omega. We get his cannon arm, Really nice detail on this arm. Something I really like is you've got this piece here. With Omega Supreme, he has an Autobot logo on this piece here, and when it's in ship mode, it's going to be up one way, but when it's a weapon, it's going to be up the other way. So what they've done, they've spring-loaded this piece. We can bring it out, and we can rotate it around. That's a fantastic little idea. So the sticker is always going to be the right way up. How novel. This here is a screw that we're meant to undo, and there's some LR44s in there, but I can't get them to work. There's a button just here, but as you can see, it's not working. I've tried several variations of LR44s. I don't know, I may have to just take it apart and see if there's a loose wire or something somewhere. But yeah, unfortunately my LED in this, I cannot get it to work for the life of me. Now the claw, on the other hand, you have to unscrew this screw here and this screw here. This piece comes up and it takes two AAA batteries, and we have steps which can come out here. I'll cover this more thoroughly when we do it in rocket mode, but you place these together and then we press the button. So it's got a fair bit of playability to it. As far as the claw goes as well, we've got really nice details all the way throughout. A bit of tempo printing going on there. Really nice, strong joints on this as well. Very solid plastic. If you've owned a Wei Jiang product in the past, you'll know that they don't skip out when it comes to plastic quality. But yeah, really nice, strong joints. This is... I highly advise you never to put batteries in this, just because when you're messing around with it, you do tend to hit the button, and once you've hit it, it will not be quiet. But we've got some nice levels of detailing. I do love the fact that Wei Jiang never skimp out. Really nice, solid products. We get the tank section for Omega Supreme. We lift the headpiece up and we have this section here. If you get your nails just under there, we can lift this up, and very much like what we got with the original G1 Omega Supreme, we can place the AAA batteries in there and just push and make sure they are both locked in firmly to place. You can then press the on switch and these nice little tracks will go nicely around the Omega ring. And we also have a LED feature in the head. We can lift this up. You want to just rotate the head around, and there's a battery section just in here. You just need a screwdriver just to undo this piece, and we can just press that button and we get an LED light up feature in the eyes, which is nice. You know, it kind of glows quite nicely. Obviously you would keep the head rotated for his kind of diaclone mode where he drives around as a tank, but for the purpose of the robot we're gonna just rotate that round. Can't say I'm a huge fan of that face sculpt. It's something just a little bit off about it. It maybe looks a little bit too human in comparison to the DX9 or Fans Toys. But all in all, it's a very good attempt, really, considering they have done their own products in the past, but nothing to directly rival third-party companies. And this time, this is something they've done. And the other pieces we have left, we have two very hefty segments of track, and we have the outer leg guards, which will fit over the Omega torso and legs. All right, let's start adding these limbs on to the torso. Let's start off with the claw, making sure the arm is straight. If you look on the inside, you've got a nubbin either side. They want to line up with the locking tabs on either side of the yellow arm, and we're just going to push that in like so, and there we go. They are now both locked into place. Right, to load the tank into the chest, this piece just pulls down. This is the tank. You want to just bring this around, rotate this around, and we've got two tab panels in the back there. This is going to slide in and then push back. So we slide in and push that back. There we go, and let's just close this chest back off. Right, now these track pieces are heavy as heck, so you want to pop those onto these pegs. This back piece is then going to come up so that it locks in to these tabs, and then just make sure that that backpack sits at a nice square angle. All right, now let's install these legs. I feel like Emgo having this little dude here. You want to get the leg panel piece, and one of these, namely this one here, has got a tab in that we can just unlock, and that now allows us to open this segment up. And what we're going to do, we're going to slide this in behind the leg with the shin guard lifted up like so. We then you can wrap this around the leg. You can just about see the retaining tab at the front. There we go, that's now attached. This is going to collapse in together, and as it does, there's this bar just underneath this piece here. That's going to slide in, he says, just around this leg, and this is just going to push. There we go, and tab in together, and here we have him fully transformed up. You know, he's a very imposing figure. He's probably the most detailed out of the three. He has a very unique look to him. Now, unique does not necessarily mean bad. I've seen several pieces of artwork where he does resemble Omega Supreme quite nicely. I think the weakest point are probably the wings. For a bot of his stature, people were saying that the legs are hollow. They're not really very hollow, they're just parts that clip around, very much the same as Fans Toys has, although he is a very different shade in comparison to both Fans Toys and DX9. And as you can see from this comparison here, he's a very big Autobot. And as you can see, he's actually one of the shorter of the Omega Supremes. DX9 is still, without a doubt, my favourite of the three. I think Wei Jiang have made a very good attempt. It's a very unique figure, and he holds together exceptionally. And as far as posing goes, and structure, I mean, he is leaps and bounds sturdier than my personal Terminal Giganticus. I have no end of problems around these thighs. People said, oh, you haven't got the stabilizers out on the feet. Yes, I have. They're out at the back. But he's still quite wobbly. Stabilizers on the back of his feet are not going to affect these ratchets in the hips. The X9 is probably the most sturdiest. He is probably the most dynamic. And Terminus Giganticus is probably the most G1 accurate, I would like to say. What are your thoughts? And here he is alongside his construction crews. We've got Toy World's Constructor, and we have the Hasbro Combiner Wars figure. And yes, that's my son's. He is missing a piece on his chest. But just give you an idea of how he scales there. Probably a fraction too big to scale correctly with the Combiner Wars figure. But as far as Toy Worlds go, I think that's an exceptionally good scale. Well, he's a cheery soul, isn't he? These cannons here light up as well when we push down on the head. Basically, when you push on this head, this chest piece presses the buttons which are down on the lower part of the torso. It's nice that you've got the original voice. I can't say they're the most compelling of speeches that Omega has done. But at the same time, it is nice to have lights and sounds. Right, let's take a look at Omega's articulation. The head can look left and right. Not a fan of how this entire piece moves at a single axis. I would have liked it to have been more central. But we can look up and down slightly, nowhere near to the point of the DX9 version. The neck articulation on that DX9 one is superb. They've got it down to a T. Coming around to the arms, excuse me manhandling this guy, but lovely ratchets on there. We can go all the way around on this joint. Really solid ratchet there. We've got another nice ratchet on that arm. The elbow is double jointed, and that joint there is really, really stiff. Really tight piece there. Love the detailing and the pistons on there, though. Don't get me wrong, it does kind of put the fear of God into me. The fact that I know that this is just joined on at the tip there, but it all seems to be extremely tight and work exceptionally well. And a very welcome addition is a nice butterfly joint on there. Not a great deal of range there due to the wings being in the way, but still nice to have a butterfly joint there nonetheless. Waist is a really solid ratchet joint. We have hip skirts to the front and side to allow for leg movement forwards, backwards, out to the side. There is an upper thigh rotation. It's all on that ball socketed joint. Taking a look at the back of those legs, really nice nod to the original G1 toy there as well. We have a double jointed knee, although we can't get a huge amount of range on this. You can bend it at both joints, but it is exceptionally hard to do so. But you can get just beyond 90 degrees out of that, but like I said, you are fighting with this thing. We do have an extremely loud ankle rocker there, and unfortunately the only left and right motion we have is up here in the thigh joint. So like I said, he might not be the most aesthetically pleasing out of all the Omegas, but he is definitely one of the most structurally sound, and he holds a wonderfully tight stance. Those super tight joints really do help in selling this figure. He can hold a remarkably nice stance, especially for a toy the same sort of size as a Fortress Maximus. This guy's got some serious heft, but he's almost as dynamic as a ballerina. I mean, there aren't many figures this size that can do a one-legged running stance. It's okay, he doesn't look the most natural doing it, but he does it nonetheless. So to summarize his bot mode, it's nice. There's something just lacking. It's probably something to do with that head sculpt, which puts me off the most. We do have lots of really intricate details all the way throughout Omega Supreme. I mean, even the inside of the legs are extremely well detailed. They've put a lot of care, love, and attention to detail in this figure, but at the same time, I can't help but feel we're missing something, and maybe the horse has already bolted and they may have missed a very good opportunity. Now, as much as I do love this Omega, let's get him transformed up into his vehicle mode. You want to just pull open the chest piece, you want to pull this away and then up, and of course we just revert this back to the original tank form by rotating that around. And there is an alternative face. It's kind of like a Cyclops. I didn't get that with this set, but let you know there is one floating around. It does say in the instructions you may not receive the alternative face, and well, I didn't. So there we go, now you know. Same way to remove the arms, make sure that they are straight and just give that a tug. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, excuse the pun, to work out how these join together. You literally just push them in without pressing that ruddy button. So just push those in, securing them in firmly. If you've already applied your Autobot logo, now you can switch that back up and over. We can bring these stairs out like so, and we can bring these stairs outwards. If you want to use the stand, we basically join the rocket up, but we have the stand in between whilst we attach both ends. So once we've joined both sides of the rocket together using this arm, and as you can see, it's attached either side of that clamp, and then we can move the clamp. If we decide to make the rocket fly, you can just have it ratcheted up. So that's the idea behind it. It's not a bad idea. Personally, I like to have it stood on its own legs with the stairs going down, but it's nice to have options. Come around to the back of our Omega Supreme. You want to just untab these hooks here from either side. That will allow this back piece to drop down. Bring these into the middle, and there's so much weight here that these are just going to slide straight off those pegs like so, and you want to do that for both sides. And if you look here, this is all kind of detailed as well. This is actually a hidden area, which is kind of nice. They've got that piece detailed anyway, and just by removing these screws here, you can pull this piece out, and again we stick two AA batteries in there. For the legs, we need an exact reversal of what we did before. You want to just make sure that this piece is up. These can just pull apart nicely. Coming away from the leg, you can just untab this retaining piece. they just pull apart, and then you want to just bring this up and around out of the way of the leg. Come to his waist, and if you can see, this piece here is actually completely independent, and you want to bring that all the way around. And this is where I became very thankful that this is nowhere near as heavy as its counterparts. You want to move this up to this sort of angle. You want to then rotate this around, and this now allows us to bring this joint up, and because we've rotated it at that angle, it misses all of that rear skirt. You can bring these side ones back down and the front ones back down. You want to bend the knee at that joint, bring this ankle rocker all the way down, and one more click. Bring this shin guard backwards, and then come around to the jetpack. The jetpack opens up. This piece comes upwards, and this is going to come down at an angle. So we have something that looks like this, and then you want to just bring these feet in either side. They're on a ratchet joint. Just ratchet that ankle all the way in. Do that on both sides, and you want to bring the arms down and then bring them back round and lock those in with the back piece section just dropped down. And the last few pieces of the puzzle, you want to bring these retaining tabs back together. This is going to bend over itself, and that's just going to tab in on its own axis. These pieces come down, they rotate, they then come up and over, and they are going to bridge either side, and we can start undoing our pieces of track. Obviously the biggest downside to this product is just the sheer size of everything. I mean, if you have this base engaged, we've got a platform on both sides, you really kind of have to have it sideways on, and you can see here I've got these pieces extended over the back here, and they just tab in to the opened up track, and it's just massive. It is incredibly huge. I mean, just look at the size of this thing. It's absolutely massive. This is my study floor. Welcome. This is pretty big, considering that is the MP10. This thing has got some serious mass to it. It's, in my opinion, I think it's the biggest of all three Omegas, and it actually brings back the most nostalgic vibes out of all three. This one reminds me the most of the old grandstand converter, the Omegatron, or the MechBot 1, or even the original Omega Supreme. It's kind of got that play fun factor about it. I'm not scared to mess around with this one and play with it, whereas the DX9 and Fans Toys, I think they take themselves a bit more seriously, and they are a masterpiece figure. This one doesn't really class itself as a masterpiece figure, I don't think. It is a really fun toy for both adults and kids to kind of mix and blend the generations. I mean, the rocket makes blast off noises. I mean, how awesome is that? And last but not least, this is the Omegatron going around the track. He goes nicely, but he's super loud. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been the Wei Jiang interpretation of Omega Supreme. If you've got this on order and you're expecting a true masterpiece, no, I don't think that's what you're going to get. But if you're expecting a very good version of Omega Supreme with huge playability factor, then you are definitely not going to be disappointed. Thanks again to the team over at TF Direct for making this review possible. I've included a link to both the DX9 and the Fans Toys versions of their Omega Supremes just over here. And until next time, from myself and the Ultima Guard, thanks for watching. Goodbye.